Before the first islands formed, the universe existed as a nebulous, churning mass, a formless chaos where spiritual and physical realms had yet to separate. Order began with the arrival of Izanagi and Izanami. The ancient heavenly gods tasked this divine couple with a single command: to solidify the drifting, unstable earth into a home. Standing upon the floating bridge of heaven, they lowered a jeweled spear into the brine below. When they withdrew the blade, the falling droplets solidified, forming the island of Onagoro. The couple descended to this first solid ground to procreate the rest of the archipelago. In this tradition, the geography of Japan is not a product of chance, but a deliberate architecture birthed from divine command. This creative era ended in tragedy when Izanami gave birth to the god of fire. The heat of the birth burned her fatally, making her the first living being to experience death and descend into the underworld. Stricken by the first loss the world had ever known, Izanagi pursued his wife into Yomi, the land of darkness, to retrieve her soul. In the shadows, Izanami warned him not to look at her, but Izanagi lost his patience. He lit a tooth of his comb as a torch, revealing a horrific sight. His wife's body was now a rotting, infested corpse. Terrified, Izanagi fled back toward the entrance of the underworld. He escaped just in time to roll a massive boulder over the opening, creating a barrier between the realms of the living and the dead. This trauma introduced the Shinto concept of kagare, or spiritual pollution. It proved that even the gods were vulnerable to the defilement of death, necessitating a way to restore purity to the world. To remove the pollution of the underworld, Izanagi performed a cleansing ritual in a river, an act of misogi. This act became the foundation for all future Shinto purification practices. As he washed his face, 3 high gods were born from his features. Amaterasu, the sun goddess, emerged from his left eye, Tsukuyomi, the moon god, from his right, and Susanoo, the storm god, from his nose. While his siblings took their places in the sky, Susanoo remained unruly. He went on a destructive rampage through Amaterasu's celestial realm, destroying her rice fields and defiling her sacred halls in a fit of impetuous rage. This sibling rivalry represents the eternal tension in the natural world, the dependable order of the sun versus the chaotic, uncontrollable power of the storm. Terrified by her brother's violence, Amaterasu fled and sealed herself inside the heavenly rock cave. Her isolation plunged the world into total darkness. Without the sun, the world's energy withered and life began to die. The other gods gathered outside the cave to lure her out using ingenuity rather than force. They placed a bronze mirror and a curved jewel on a tree and staged a raucous, indecent dance that caused the assembly to roar with laughter. Amaterasu peeked out to see what could cause such joy in a world without light. She glimpsed her reflection in the mirror and was so captivated by the radiant image that the other gods pulled her from the cave. Light returned to the universe immediately. As punishment for causing the darkness, the gods banished Susanoo from the heavens, sending him down to the earthly plane. The gods restored the sun through ritual ingenuity, cementing the mirror and the jewel as sacred instruments for maintaining cosmic order. Now a wanderer on earth, the exiled Susanoo arrived in the land of Izumo. There he met an elderly couple weeping over the fate of their last daughter. They were being terrorized by Yamata no Orochi, an 8-headed serpent that had already devoured 7 of their children and was returning to claim the last. Susanoo offered to slay the beast. He ordered the couple to prepare 8 vats of strong sake and place them behind an 8-gate fence along the serpent's path. When the serpent arrived, each head drank until it fell into a drunken stupor. Susanoo then drew his sword and severed the heads one by one, ending the monster's reign of terror. By slaying the serpent, Susanoo shifts his place in the pantheon. The destructive celestial outcast becomes the first heroic protector of human civilization. While cutting through the serpent's tail, Susanoo discovered a great sword hidden within. He gifted this blade, later known as Kusanagi, to his sister Amaterasu as a gesture of reconciliation. With the heavens at peace, Amaterasu chose her grandson, Naniki, to descend to Earth and establish a lasting rule over the islands of Japan. To validate his authority, she gave him a divine mandate consisting of 3 treasures: the mirror, the jewel, and the sword. Each artifact represents a cardinal virtue of a ruler. The mirror stands for wisdom, the jewel signifies benevolence, and the sword symbolizes valor. These 3 items became the imperial regalia of Japan. Legend states they were passed down in total secrecy through the generations, from the first emperor, Jimmu, to the present day. These artifacts remain central to the legitimacy of the throne. During his 2019 enthronement, Emperor Naruhito formally took possession of the shrouded regalia, continuing a ritual tradition over 1,000 years old. When the indigenous animism of Shinto met the imported theology of Buddhism in 6th century Japan, the 2 systems were braided together, avoiding conflict. This fusion is known as Shinbutsu Shugo. It was an intentional effort to harmonize native kami with Buddhist figures, creating a unified spiritual defense for the Japanese islands. This alliance is visible at thousands of Inari shrines. Passing through these endless torii gates marks a crossing into a space of absolute sacred order. Within these perimeters, the identities of the gods merged. Inari, the Shinto deity of agriculture, became synonymous with the Buddhist deity Dakinetan, who was often depicted riding a white fox. The kitsune, magical multi-tailed foxes, stand as the primary guardians of this merged order. They serve as divine messengers, tasked with protecting the shrine's sanctity. These stone foxes are often depicted clenching heavy bronze keys in their jaws. These keys represent the dual nature of Inari's protection. They secure the community's physical rice granaries, while also unlocking the path to spiritual wisdom. The shrine functions as a safe perimeter of cosmic order and human prosperity. But that order ends at the tree line, where the landscape transitions into a much more chaotic, unpredictable wilderness. Deep in the misty mountain forests, divine order gives way to the inherent chaos of the natural world. This is the territory of the yokai. These supernatural entities are the personifications of phenomena that humans once found unexplainable, from the roar of a sudden landslide to the strange sounds of a forest at night. The Tengu are the traditional enforcers of these peaks. Originally feared as bird-like demons of war, they evolved into powerful mountain guardians and masters of swordsmanship who demand respect from all who enter their woods. Their influence remains a part of modern mountain life. During local festivals, communities still carry these iconic red, long-nosed masks to honor the martial spirits believed to inhabit the slopes. In this hierarchy, humans are guests. Yokai, like the Tengu, serve as nature's border guards, ensuring that those who cross the threshold into the wild do so with the proper reverence. That vigilance extends to the water. In rivers and ponds, the kappa, a turtle-like humanoid, is known to drag unsuspecting victims beneath the surface. The kappa requires a bowl-shaped depression on its head, a sara, to remain filled with river water for its supernatural strength. Because the kappa is obsessively polite, a human can survive by bowing deeply. The kappa bows back, the water spills, leaving it powerless. Yokai also inhabit the human home through objects known as tsukumogami. Folklore suggests that everyday tools, from lanterns to sandals, develop a soul and come to life after reaching their 100th year. These objects often become resentful if they have been neglected or discarded by their owners. For example, an old paper umbrella might transform into the kasa obake, a one-eyed spirit that hops through the house to startle those who forgot it. Whether guarding the rivers or animating old umbrellas, these yokai serve a specific social function. They enforce a code of conduct that punishes wastefulness, carelessness, and the breaking of etiquette. Beyond the physical dangers of the forest or the river, there is a final layer of the spirit realm that exists entirely within the human mind. These are the yurei, human souls anchored to the living world by violent trauma or intense unresolved grudges. A yurei is physically defined by its lack of a connection to the earth. They are typically depicted without legs or feet, their spirits trailing off into a mist that reflects their status as entities trapped between worlds. Their motives are focused. While a yokai might attack anyone who enters its territory, a yurei is a relentless hunter, targeting the specific individuals responsible for the trauma that keeps them from passing on. Their arrival is heralded by hitodama, eerie, floating ghost fires that drift through darkness, signaling a breach in the boundary between the living and the dead. This completes the spiritual landscape. The kami preserve the order of civilization, and the yokai guard the edges of the natural world. But the yurei represent the internal borders of guilt and memory,